Hello everybody, and today I'm going to get straight to the point. I've got something exciting to tell you. Quite big news actually, so you might want to sit down, could come as a shock, get yourself into brace position, because I must reveal to you that within your home, yes, your home, there are 3 of the most beautifully coloured objects in the whole entire world. I know what you're thinking. The entirety of the world and all the billions and billions of objects that are in it, and 3 of the most beautifully coloured ones are here in my house. Well, it is true. I am excited to tell you. And I would love to see those beautifully coloured, delightfully pigmented objects. So, what I want you to do is to go and find 3 objects, all of different colours, that have colours that you think are really, really great. Now, a couple of small ground rules. These do have to be objects. You can't get like a beautifully coloured human being or a beautifully coloured guinea pig. They need to be non-living, unsentient objects. The other thing is they have to be objects that you can carry. So I don't want you to trek back transporting a beautifully coloured wardrobe. They need to be carryable objects. And maybe don't nab an object if someone is in the middle of vitally using it for something. Just a suggestion, but you know what works for you. So what I want you to go and do now is to pause the video in a moment and find 3 objects that have really great colours. Could be the whole of the object, could just be a little bit of the object, but that have really beautiful colours on them, and then bring them back, and I am going to go and do that too. So our colour scavenger hunt begins now. Okay, you should now have got 3 beautifully coloured objects from around your house. I've just done mine as well in record quick time. And my 3 beautifully coloured objects are this beautifully coloured teapot, this beautifully coloured plant pot, and this beautifully coloured t-shirt. Well, now you've seen mine, can I have a little look at yours? Come on, hold them up to the camera. That's right, nice and close. Oh, yeah, that is exquisite. Well, my, you do have some delightfully shaded objects in your house. I must say, do you know, I think you've got such a treasure trove of colour here that we can expand it a little further. And you know, I think we should even get someone else involved. Yeah, what I want you to do now is to find another person in your house, and I want you to ask them what are 2 of their favourite coloured items in your house. So ask someone else, what are 2 items in the house that they think have a really great colour? Go and get those 2 items, bring them back together, and then we'll take a look at them. Okay, so you've got another scavenger hunt. Talk to someone else, get 2 things. We'll see you back in a moment. Fantastic, you are back, and I can see you have got 2 more simply delightful items. Whoever it was that chose those has quite fantastic taste. And now you have a clutch of 5 delightfully coloured objects surrounding you. And all I want you to do with those objects now is to write a little list. So you're going to need something to write with. Could be pen and paper, could be typed. But all I want you to do is list the colours of those objects. Now it's totally up to you. You could just list them in quite like a simple, straightforward way. For example, your list might be blue. Or you could add in a little bit more detail if you like. So it could be something like bright blue. And that's it. So once you've written your list of your 5 colours, pop it to one side. We're going to come back to that in a minute. Okay, so now that you've done your list, pop it to one side for the moment. We're going to come back to it. But first of all, I'm going to introduce you to what might be a new word for some of you. And that word is synesthesia. Say that again, synesthesia. Ooh. Now, synesthesia is a condition. It's a perceptual phenomenon that a small amount of people have. And it is when, if you have one sense stimulated, it involuntarily, automatically stimulates another one. So, as you know, we have 5 senses, don't we? We have sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. And if you've got synesthesia, when one of those senses is stimulated, it automatically sets off another one. So, for example, with sight, if you saw a particular shape, say the letter A, you might always see that in a particular colour. For example, the letter red. And even if it's not written in red, that's how it would always appear to you if you have synesthesia, because that one sense triggers another one. And one type of synesthesia that people have, and there are lots of them, is about sound and seeing sounds. Now, quite a lot of artists actually have synesthesia, and one person that has this type that's related to sound is beloved teen pop star Billie Eilish. So she can see sounds, and very soon you're going to be able to see sounds too, even if you don't have this condition. But I think we need some sounds first of all to start seeing them, don't we? So what we're going to do is I'm going to play some sound effects, and I want you to write down what colour you feel like those sounds are. What colours do they make appear in your mind? Do they symbolise for you? And we don't need to kind of be literal with these colours. For example, if I was to say what the colour of coffee was, I wouldn't necessarily say brown. The colour of coffee might be bright red. It's whatever represents that thing to me. Does that make sense? So it doesn't have to be a literal connection. Right, so I am going to play 5 sound effects, all different. Now you don't need to worry too much about what the sounds are. What you're thinking about is what colours those sounds kind of represent. When you hear them, what kind of colour pops into your head? So listen to those sounds, think what colour they make you think of, and then write it down. So at the end of hearing them all, you should have a list of 5 colours. And like before, you might state it quite simply, or you might put a little bit of description of the colour in there. Okay, so if that makes sense and you're ready to write, I'm going to play those 5 sound effects now. Okay, so you've written down the colours of those sounds now. And to put you out of your misery, I will reveal now what the sounds are. So in order, we had number 1, ice cracking underfoot. Number 2, the sound of a bike, a bicycle freewheeling. Sound number 3, a bread knife cutting through bread. Sound number 4, a can getting crushed underfoot. And finally, sound number 5, a washing machine washing some clothes. So those were what those sounds were. And now that we've assigned colours to sounds, I want us to do the reverse. Go back to that list that you created earlier of your 5 colours of your 5 dazzling objects. And I want you to write down a sound that you associate with those colours. So once again, we're not thinking about what the object itself is, we're just thinking about its colour. So, for example, if I was going to think about my blue teapot, I might not say that blue is the colour of tea getting poured, because I'm not thinking about the object, I'm just thinking about the colour it is. So I might even not look at this at all and just look at my list where I wrote down that colour, bright blue. And I might think that bright blue, the sound that that makes me think of could be, well, bright blue makes me think of really, really hot sunny days at the height of summer. And a sound that I associate with that is like unseen crickets chirping in the grass. So maybe that's what I'd write. Bright blue is unseen crickets chirping in the grass. So that's what I want you to do with your list of 5 colours. When you just think about the colour, detach it from the object, what sound does that colour make you think of? Pause the video now and write it down. Okay, so you should now have a list of 5 colours that you have associated with 5 sounds. And those associations, to someone else, they might seem kind of random, kind of weird, but that's great because each of us will have our own really personal, individual, exciting associations that we have, and it's amazing to explore that. And we're going to explore the kind of associations we have a little bit further now. We're going to explore synesthesia and the senses a little more because we're going to investigate a type of synesthesia called lexical gustatory synesthesia. Whew, boy, a lot of words getting thrown around, aren't they? But I think this one kind of makes sense because in a way we all might have it a little bit. So for example, if I was to say chocolate, you might suddenly be able to taste chocolate. But if you have lexical gustatory synesthesia, you have these taste associations with all different kinds of words, and some of them are very unusual. So I was looking at some real life cases of these. For example, there's someone who every single time they hear the word canoe, they suddenly get the taste of cookies in their mouth. Imagine that. Good job it's not a word that you hear that often, I suppose. But anyway, that's how that synesthesia works. You hear a certain word and immediately you get a certain taste in your mouth. So, thinking about our senses, I now want you to go back to your list again. Your list of 5 colours associated to 5 sounds. Now, I want you to think about what taste you associate with that colour. And again, we're not thinking about what the object is, we're just focusing on the colour of the object. And once again, our associations might be really unusual. They might lead you off in strange directions, and I fully encourage that. To not maybe do the most obvious thing, but go for something a little unexpected. So, for example, let's go back to my blue teapot again. Now, as I said, this colour really reminds me of hot, sunny days, which kind of makes sense. And the taste that comes into my mouth with that is the taste of ice cream cones. But, to be really specific, a waffle cone, a fancy ice cream cone. So I might write, bright blue tastes of waffle ice cream cones. Does that make sense? Okay, so now you do that. Take your colours and write down whatever taste you associate with those colours. And you could write it down maybe just after what you've written before. So I might write down, bright blue is the sound of unseen crickets chirping in the grass. Bright blue is the taste of waffle ice cream cones. So you do that for your colours now. You've said what sound they associate to, now tell us what taste they associate to. Right, so now you have a list of 5 colours associated to 5 different sounds and also associated to 5 different tastes. And guys, it's not just a list. You've actually created an amazing poem there that explores colours and the senses in a really interesting and unusual way. And we would love to see these poems. So please do share them with us. You could email them to grimm@gmail.com if you like, or if you're in part of one of our established writing groups, you could upload them to your Seesaw journal. I can't wait to see all this synesthesia-inspired writing that you've come up with, and to catch you in another activity video really, really soon.